One national organization is bringing much welcome non-casino jobs to the Atlanta City area. We discuss some important immigration information with a representative from Catholic Charities, and we discuss outreach initiatives for early detection and education on breast cancer. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose quality, value, distinction. Choose Stockton.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University. Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas. Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Welcome to Latino Motion. One national organization is bringing much needed non-casino jobs to Atlanta City. And to discuss this new opportunity for South New Jersey is John Charamella. He is the president of the Atlanta City Contact Center. John, welcome to Latino Motion.
Thank you very much, Bert. Pleasure to be here.
John, tell me, what is the Atlanta City Contact Center?
Well, Atlantic City Contact Center is really a communications company. It's what we call the evolution of a call center. A call center traditionally would use a phone to either make outbound calls trying to sell a product or a service, or take inbound calls for customer service, tech support, or orders that people might see in a catalog or on television or might hear on radio. So that's the definition of a call center. Contact center is, as I said, is the evolution of a call center because we deal in not only communicating via the phone, but chat, email, other social media, which is becoming very popular nowadays with people trying to get customer service, trying to make appointments, trying to get tech support. They would much rather text or email rather than pick up that phone.
I have seen some of the apps where sometimes you go into a page and you're trying to look for a product and you get a little window where if you want to chat with a representative. So that's kind of what you guys do. You actually have a direct conversation with the consumer to help them either purchase a product or increase the customer satisfaction.
That is correct. What most people don't realize is that most companies, especially national companies, large companies, have call centers inside their organization, whether it's to service their own customers directly. But what often happens is that these call centers get overwhelmed. If there's an emergency situation, there are just not enough operators internally to handle those calls. So that's when they go to a place like us for overflow.
You basically take the overflow.
Exactly.
And are able, so you have the script, you have the trained individuals, and you're able to handle any of the additional calls that may have come in. Exactly. So tell me about why Atlanta City.
Well, Atlantic City held a number of very interesting economic possibilities for us, and for other companies as well, I might add. The incentives that the Economic Development Authority provides, which is a state organization, allows companies to take advantage of state incentives, which means that based on the number of employees you put to work in an area that has been designated a Choose New Jersey area, for example.
So this is part of the Choose New Jersey.
Yes. Atlantic City was just made recently in the last year an EDA project or a Choose New Jersey area, much like Camden was several years ago.
So let's talk about the job opportunities that exist now at the call center.
Well, what we're doing now is we've had a number of job fairs. Presently, we have a staff of about 30 people. And we are looking to sign some contracts with some major utilities. That's one of the areas that we are going after. And the reason why is we feel that utilities are, to some extent, recession-proof. They're not going to get eaten up by Amazon and all of a sudden the company you're dealing with is out of business. Right. But I want to make it very clear that we're not looking to take jobs away from people who work in utilities, right. But as I mentioned earlier, the overflow work, or if indeed they are utilizing companies outside of New Jersey, we want to bring those jobs back to New Jersey. So that's our focus. We're trying to create a base group of utility clients. It takes a little while to get this put in place, but that's our objective.
Of course, with the economic situation in Atlantic City, you certainly have welcoming arms to have your organization come and join the Atlantic City family. Tell me how you were received here in the city and how they perceive this going forward.
Well, we've had great support from the local politicians, from the mayor, and it's been very, very welcoming for us. We're housed in the Claridge Hotel, but it's the office space of the Claridge Hotel, not hotel rooms of the Claridge Hotel. They had 5 stories actually of office space that were not being used. And so we took advantage of that. It gives us a central location in the city because many of the people that work for us and that will work for us in the future as we grow the organization live in Atlantic City or the surrounding areas. So they're able to take public transportation. In some instances, they're able to walk to work. Now, this is very important, especially for the utilities. When there are emergencies and people can't get to work, people will be able to walk to our center. And once they're there, if the weather is that bad outside, we'll put them up in the hotel. So it becomes
very convenient.
It becomes a win-win for everybody.
Now, if someone is looking to get more information about the job opportunities that may be available here, and as you grow the business, obviously more jobs will be available, how should they contact you?
They could go to our website.
Okay.
It's the Atlantic City Contact Center, www. It's the Atlantic City Contact Center, and they will get information, phone numbers from there. But we've hired a lot of people through the offices of the state and city. It's a combined effort with the city and the Greater Atlantic City Chamber of Commerce that have set up an employment organization, if you will.
Eric Reynolds runs that organization and certainly is helping a lot of the locals, particularly in the Atlantic City residents, find employment.
And he's been very helpful to us, extremely helpful.
Well, John, this is great information, and we certainly welcome more of these type of job opportunities coming down here to South Jersey. Thanks for joining us here on Latino Motion, and please stay tuned. We have more Latino Motion to come.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. Immigration reform is an issue that continues to linger, but there's still critical information that is important for many in the immigrant community. Joining me is Jessica Ramirez. She is the Division Director with Catholic Charities and their lead attorney on immigration to discuss the latest. Jessica, welcome to Latino Motion. So obviously immigration reform has not gone anywhere, all tied up in politics basically, but there are a number of things that are happening in the immigration front that are important to discuss. Let's start with the asylum for unaccompanied minors. It's a big issue. Tell me a little bit about how you get involved with that.
Sure. We at Catholic Charities, we're getting a lot of unaccompanied minors, unfortunately. These minors are coming in from 3 different countries. They are usually coming in from Guatemala, from Honduras, and from El Salvador. And what's going on in those 3 countries is the government pretty much has lost total control, and the gang members are the ones that are in control. They get to say who strikes in the government. They get to say curfews, provide curfews. So basically the government has just lost total control. So what we're seeing is a lot of kids fleeing.
Now, it's obviously kids fleeing on their own, but also being encouraged by the parents and others to protect them as well.
Absolutely. There's usually 2 fact patterns. Usually it's either their parents have been here, so they're being raised by family members or grandmom or grandpop, and or they're living with their parents and they can no longer go to school because the gang members are bothering them. They're hanging around the schools, which is what usually happens. So they are being forced to leave.
And obviously, a lot of these gangs are also forcing those minors to become part of their gangs.
Absolutely. I mean, the stories that I hear, it's pretty much similar stories. They hang around the schools. They try to recruit them wherever they can. And it's because it's not like here, it's not like law and order. It's very difficult for the police to really police their citizens.
So tell me a little bit about what happens. The child crosses the border basically through Mexico. They obviously are detained. What happens then?
Usually it takes about anywhere from a week to 3 weeks to come here because they have to travel through the different countries, Central America and Mexico. Once they get to Mexico, they cross the border and they're usually detained and they have to stay in a detention center. Once they're at a detention center, there is a caseworker assigned to the individual child. Now, if the child has a biological parent here in the United States, the caseworker will link the biological parent with the child. If there is no biological parent, but a family member or a guardian, then there is a process where that person has to get fingerprinted. We provide the fingerprints in our organization. There's a few organizations in the state, us being one of them.
So you're representing both the unaccompanied minor as well as the guardians themselves?
Well, it's not really we're representing the minors definitely, not the guardians, but we are helping the government with a grant that we have by doing the fingerprints. And it's basically a criminal background check to make sure that these are people that can pick up the child.
Right, there's no trafficking involved.
Correct.
Now, let's talk about another topic, which is TPS for Ecuadorians. That seems to be coming up. Tell me a little bit about that.
That's definitely a hot topic now because of what the earthquake in Ecuador. What happens with TPS, and I like to tell everybody that it's just a temporary it stands for temporary protective status, and I always like to emphasize the temporary because it's not you don't get basically what you get is a work permit, and you might be able to travel, but that work permit. It's only going to be temporary. It's until our government feels that it's safe for Ecuadorians to now return back to Ecuador. What we're hoping is that we will get TPS for Ecuadorians. Haiti did get TPS for the Haitians here in this country when the earthquake happened in Haiti, and it's my understanding that the earthquake in Ecuador was worse, I guess, than Haiti. But so we are fighting for that.
So basically, they should make sure that they apply if they haven't applied and renew if they need to renew.
Absolutely. First, what's going to happen is that they have to prove that they were here when the catastrophic event happened. Also, I like to tell people that if you have any type of criminal background, you're not going to get TPS. You're not going to get any benefit, basically.
One more thing is U visa, and we only have a few minutes, so tell me about U visas.
U visas is another way that somebody that's illegally here can obtain status. U visas are for people that have been victims of crimes. Not all crimes, not shoplifting, but some crimes. And if you are a victim of a crime and you have helped the authorities in the investigation of your crime, then what happens is that the arresting officer or an officer that's working with you will sign a certification saying, yes, this person was a victim of a crime. And then that way we can apply for the person to get a green card and become a citizen.
And one final thought for the DACA individuals, what should they keep in mind right now?
They definitely have to renew. They do not want to miss that renewal date. They're very strict with this. Also, again, you cannot get into any criminal trouble. Okay, especially a lot of the kids. I tell them to always stay out of trouble. Do not be in cars with somebody that you do not know, because that will be you will be kicked out of this country.
Right. Important information. Thank you for sharing this with our audience, and stay tuned. We're going to be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. Latinas have a higher risk of breast cancer, and the Puerto Rican Action Committee of Southern New Jersey, also known as PRAC, has an outreach initiative to reach more Latinas for early detection and breast health education. Joining me is Jocelyn Ortiz. She is an outreach coordinator for PRAC. Jocelyn, welcome to Latino Motion.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So tell me a little bit about the initiative that PRAC is undertaking and the outreach that you're doing, particularly in the Latino community.
Well, this new program that we have is through the Susan G. Komen. It's a grant that we received, and it's basically tailored to serve Hispanic women around the ages of 50 to 74 to try to give them an awareness, educate them, and also not only just educate them, but let them know that early detection saves lives. So our goal is to basically not only educate them, but let them know that we will also provide transportation for them if that is needed, translate.
So basically, nationally, I think we've seen the trend that early detention has really made a difference.
Yes.
A significant difference.
Yes.
And Latinas basically are lagging somewhat behind.
Yes. It is proven that Latina women, they don't get their yearly mammograms, or if they've never had one. So our job is to try to educate them and let them know that the importance of getting their mammograms yearly. And so with that said, a lot of women, we have noticed that they're not getting their mammograms done. And I know I've stumbled across a few women who have a language barrier, and that can sometimes discourage them for making appointments.
And I noticed that with this particular initiative, you're trying to break down some of those barriers.
Yes.
So one of them is transportation, obviously.
Correct.
Big issue, not just in the Latino community, but lower income communities where transportation
Yes.
may be an issue. And so you help provide transportation to the primary care, or what's the transportation for?
The transportation will be for their screenings, anything that has to do with breast health. Along with also, we'll provide that one-on-one support with them. So we won't leave them alone in their appointments. We'll also translate for them so they don't feel that they're not able to communicate with a doctor if there's any changes that they may have noticed or anything like that. We're going to help them and assist them in that as well.
And we noticed that women, particularly Latinas, are usually the primary caregivers in the home.
Yeah.
And they seem to neglect their own health.
Yes. A lot of times what we've noticed is that they put themselves on the back burner and they take care of the family and everyone else, and they usually neglect their health, their need. And so we want to encourage them, empower them to get these exams done. And also, whether they have insurance or no insurance, we want to let them know that we have worked with hospitals and NJC, which is a program that takes it's a free early detection. So there is no excuse.
So basically, right now, anyone could get a breast cancer exam, regardless of your insurance status. How about your legal status? Were you still able to qualify to get a free exam?
Yes.
And so you'll make those arrangements. So what's the best way to make this happen for an individual who is looking to do this?
If there's anyone that is interested in the program, they can contact directly to our office. They can either email or call directly to the office, and we will take the process right there. We'll do an intake. We'll contact the proper hospital or NJC, the nearest NJC, and we'll try to schedule their appointments and provide the transportation as
So you
needed.
provide the actually help them get the appointment and the transportation to get
Yes.
there. Now, this is throughout South Jersey, or what areas are we talking
Yes,
about?
we are targeting Atlantic, Gloucester, Salem, and Cumberland County.
So most of southern New
Yes.
Jersey is included in this program. And obviously, it's not just a one-time going for the screening. There's ongoing education as well.
Yes, and also if there's any follow-ups that need to be made, we will provide that as well and continue with them on their health.
So a good thing here is educating the community, obviously breaking down some of the barriers, and hopefully we see the trend where also within the Latino community, early detection is making a big difference in
Yes.
terms of breast cancer.
Yes, correct.
Thank you for all this information. Hopefully many women will take advantage of it. And thank you for joining us on Home once again here on Latino Motion.
Choose quality, value, distinction. Choose Stockton.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.